Hi, I'm Anand Chaudhary from John F. Kennedy Middle School, and in this video, I want to talk about how to transform, rotate, and reflect different shapes on the coordinate axes. So let's just get started. So in this video, I'm basically going to talk about the basics in translations, reflections, and rotations. So let's just get started. So the first thing I want to do is tell you what transformation, reflection, and rotations are. So transformations are basically when you shift a thing. So how I would describe transformations is when you try shifting the figure. And what I mean by shifting is if I want to move this figure here, if I want to move it to the left, up, down, right, that's called transformation. So if I were to move this here and up, I would, it's called transformations. So it's called shifting figure. Shifting figure up, down, up, down, left or right, So that's what transformations are. Next thing I want to go over is what a reflection is. A reflection is when you want to just reflect the figure. So reflections, I don't know how to really say it in any other word by reflect, but it's kind of also like flipping the figure. Flip the figure. And one way I like to think of it is when you look in a mirror, it's always the opposite. So if I reflect it one way, it'll be the opposite. So if I were to reflect it over y equals 1, then it'll be the mirror image over that. So that I'll tell you about this a little later in the video. And the last one is rotations. Rotations is pretty self-explanatory. It's basically just when you rotate the figure. So rotate / turn the figure. So instead of going over all of this, all the definitions and stuff, let's just go over all of this. So here we have two figures, okay? This black one is the original one, and this blue one is the one I'm trying to get the black one to. So basically, I'm trying to get this black triangle over here all the way to the blue triangle. So now we're going to do a series of transformations, reflections, and rotations to get there. So I'm going to show you two different ways to get this to here. So the first thing I realized I can do is I could shift it. Now, as I told you, you could shift it vertically or horizontally, but in this case, I might only need to do it horizontally, but I'll show you how to do it. So I want to shift this whole figure to the left until this point reaches -5. So 3 to -5, that's around 8. So how I would write this, I'm going to write my steps down, or I'll write my steps here because I'm never going to need this quadrant. So my steps. So first I'm going to say shift, let's say, and by the way, this is x-axis, y-axis, so we're going to shift 8 to the left, 8 to the left, and that's it. But if I were to add a vertical direction, if I were to add some vertical direction, like I'm going to move up or down with this, I would say shift 8 to the left and this many down or up. So I'm just telling you. So if I were to shift this 8 to the left, it would end up being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Where this front point over here would be here. And if I were to do the same thing here, it'd be, so 6 minus 8. 6 minus 8 is -2. So it ends up right over here. And then you go from here all the way here. Now there is another step I can tell you that you could do, but I'll save that for the next time I show you how to do this. So I'm sorry for the really bad cameraing today, and I'm trying this new area in the house, so yeah. So if I were to shift this 8 to the left, it ends up coming here, right? It looks like the exact same figure, and I'm just going to write figure B because this is original, okay? So here we have figure B. It's fully aligned with this. There's two things I can do from here. what I can do is I can shift this down by 4. I could shift it down by 4. Or I could do something else, which I'm going to show you. So what I want to do is I'm going to reflect it, because we haven't done that yet. So where would I reflect it across in order to get it exactly here? So, So let's see, reflecting, the way you reflect is you reflect it on a horizontal number or a vertical number. So perhaps if I were to reflect this, in this one I want to reflect horizontally, because if I reflect vertically it'll end up somewhere here. So if I reflect horizontally, basically I'll have to pick a number across the y-axis, and then I just reflect it over that. And you'll get it more once I actually do it. So I want to reflect over y equals 0, surprisingly, just because they both have the coordinate of 2 and they're just opposites. So if I reflect over y equals 0, which is basically here on the x-axis, I would do this. So this is y equals 0, this whole line. Let me just bold this a little bit in blue, this line. I'm basically reflecting along here. So if I were to reflect along here, remember it's a mirror image. So it's 2 away from the line here, so it has to be 2 away from here. So it ends up being here for this first point. Second point, 2 away here. Last point is 3 away, so it's going to be 3 away. And as you can see, that's how you reflect. So far, I've gone through reflecting and transformation. Oh, and by the way, writing your steps. So my step would be reflect over y equals 0, because y is equal to 0 at this point. Okay, so one thing I just want to go over, which I'm not able to do in this specific example, is rotations. So if I were to have some random triangle here, it doesn't even need to be a triangle, but just because it's much easier for me, I have a triangle here and I want to rotate it. The way I would rotate it is just it's self-explanatory. I just want to rotate it. So what I would do is, let's say I want to rotate this 90 degrees. And by the way, the direction you do it is really key to this. Clockwise, counterclockwise. So let's say I want to do this clockwise, 90 degrees clockwise. So since this is graph paper, this is fairly easy to see that every time there's a little intersection, it's 90 degrees. So you can see here's this line here, and clockwise is this way. So you go to the side, and this line over here ends up being here. Being over here. And by the way, you have to reflect across a certain point. In this one, I'm doing over 2 and -2 just because it's really simple. So, and the next time I want to do this one, it reaches over here. And over here, it's a little more tricky, but it'll end up over here. And it's a reflected triangle we have here. I reflected the triangle. I hope this video was of some use to you, and I hope you got the basics on how to transform, reflect, and rotate. And please like and subscribe the video, and thank you.